Here's a fun question. If inflation is only 3%, why does your grocery bill look like you're shopping for a small village? The government says prices are stable. Your bank account says otherwise. So what's going on? Are you just bad at budgeting? Or is someone lying to you? Spoiler alert, it's door number 2. Because in 1980, the government quietly changed how they measure inflation. And ever since, the numbers you see on the news have been, let's call it, creative. This is the story of the biggest financial magic trick in modern history. Let's rewind. What even is inflation? Simply put, it's when your money buys less stuff over time. In 1950, a dollar could buy you 10 candy bars. Today, that same dollar gets you maybe 1, if it's on sale. So the government tracks this. They measure how much prices go up each year, and they call it the Consumer Price Index, the CPI. Every month, government workers check prices on hundreds of products: milk, bread, rent, gas, haircuts. They add it all up, and boom, that's your inflation number. For decades, this system worked fine. Prices went up, the CPI went up. Simple. But then came the 1970s, and everything broke. Oil crisis, stagflation, prices exploding. By 1980, inflation hit 13%. People were panicking. So the government had 2 options. Fix the actual economy? That's hard, takes years, might cost elections. Or change how you measure the problem? Yeah, they picked door number 2. In 1980, the Bureau of Labor Statistics hired a guy named Michael Boskin. His job? Make inflation look smaller, without actually lowering prices. And he did it with 3 genius tricks. Trick number 1, substitution. The old formula tracked specific items. If steak went from $5 to $10, that's a 100% increase. They counted it. But Boskin said, wait, if steak gets expensive, people just buy chicken instead. So the new formula does this. If steak doubles in price, they assume you'll substitute down to chicken, and they only count the chicken price. See the problem? You're not buying the same quality of food. You're getting downgraded. But the inflation number stays low. Trick number 2, hedonic adjustment. This one's wild. Let's say a laptop cost $1,000 in 2010, and it still costs $1,000 today. The old CPI would say, no inflation, same price. But the new formula says, wait, that laptop is faster now, better camera, more memory. So they count that as deflation, even though you paid the same price. On paper, electronics get cheaper every year, even when they don't. Meanwhile, your rent? That doesn't get hedonic adjustment. Your landlord doesn't say, well, this apartment is older now, so I'll charge you less. Nope, it just goes up. And here's the big one. Trick number 3, shelter waiting. Housing is the biggest expense for most people. Rent, mortgages. It's like 30 to 40% of your budget. But in the CPI, housing is only 24% of the formula. And it gets worse. They don't even measure housing the way you experience it. Instead of tracking actual rents, they use something called owner's equivalent rent, which is basically, what would you charge to rent out your own house? It's a made-up number, based on a hypothetical, and it always comes out lower than actual rent increases. So let's add this up. The government assumes you'll buy cheaper stuff. They adjust for quality on things you can't eat or live in, and they undercount the biggest expense you have. The result? Now here's where it gets dark. Because this isn't just about making the news look good. These fake numbers have real consequences. Social Security? Tied to CPI. If the formula says inflation is 3%, your grandma gets a 3% raise, even though her groceries went up 40%. Minimum wage debates? Based on CPI. Salary negotiations? Your boss looks at the CPI and says, inflation's only 3%. Here's your 3% raise. Meanwhile, your rent went up 15%. And the worst part? Most people don't even know this is happening, because the media just reports the CPI number. They don't explain the formula changed. So everyone thinks they're going crazy. The news says everything's fine. Why am I broke? But you're not crazy. The numbers are cooked. Some economists tried to fix this. They created alternative inflation measures, shadow stats, MIT's Billion Prices Project. They track inflation the old way. And guess what? They show inflation 2 to 3 times higher than the official numbers. But here's the thing. Even if we know the truth, what changes?
So what do you do with this information? First, stop blaming yourself. If your budget feels impossible, it's not because you're bad with money. The game is rigged. Second, plan accordingly. Don't trust the 3% number when negotiating your salary. Look at actual price increases in your area. Track your own expenses. Compare year over year. And third, demand better. The CPI formula can be changed back. It's been changed before, it can change again, but only if enough people realize what happened. So share this video, talk about it, make some noise, because the first step to fixing a rigged game is admitting it's rigged. If you want to go deeper, I've linked sources in the description. The actual BLS methodology documents, the Boskin Commission report, all the nerdy stuff. Thanks for watching, and remember, you're not imagining it. Your groceries really do cost 40% more. The government just doesn't want you to notice.